The abduction happened on a Tuesday. Donald J. Trump was standing at a rally in Florida, the sun blazing down, a red cap on his head and a sea of cheering supporters before him. He was mid-sentence, a line about making America greater than ever before, when the sky turned green. A column of blinding emerald light slammed down onto the stage. The sound was a deafening hum that vibrated in the chest. Secret Service agents lunged forward, but the light was like a solid wall. Trump felt himself lifted, weightless, his body dissolving into static. The last thing he saw was the horrified faces of the crowd. Then everything went black. He awoke in a transparent tube filled with pale blue liquid. Tubes were attached to his arms, his chest, his temples. The liquid was warm and strangely breathable. Outside the tube, he could see a sterile, metallic chamber. Strange instruments lined the walls. Alien symbols glowed on console screens. Standing before him were three creatures. They were tall, 7 feet at least, with gray, hairless skin, elongated heads, and enormous black eyes. They wore intricate metallic robes. One of them gestured at a floating hologram showing a slowly rotating image of Earth. "So this is their leader," a voice said, not aloud but directly inside his skull. "The specimen is physically unremarkable, low muscle density for an apex figure, advanced adipose tissue. Psych profile indicates high aggression, extreme self-confidence, and an almost delusional resilience to negative feedback." Trump, fully conscious despite the paralysis, thought very clearly. These losers just made the biggest mistake in galactic history. The aliens, who called themselves the Kree'Vak Hegemony, were a race of military harvesters. They identified politically important figures from target worlds and extracted them for neural imprinting. The goal was to create a puppet leader who would surrender their planet without a fight. Trump, they had determined, was the most influential figure on Earth. The plan was simple: break him, rebuild him, send him back as their instrument. They began the neural conditioning, painful pulses of electricity, hypnotic light patterns, drugs that tore at the psyche. They attempted to overwrite his personality, to replace his identity with a compliant drone template. But the Kree'Vak had never encountered a human mind like Donald Trump's. Every attempt to dominate him was met with an immovable wall of ego and will. The hypnotic suggestions simply bounced off, repelled by an internal monologue that just kept repeating, "You're fired. Every one of you is fired. I'm going to build a space wall and make them pay for it." After 3 days of failed conditioning, the Kree'Vak grew frustrated. Their ship's AI recommended a different approach: physical augmentation for gladiatorial spectacle. The hegemony loved to watch conquered species fight in their arenas. They would strip the human leader of his mind through combat, then dissect whatever remained of his psyche. They injected him with a cocktail of nanites, muscle growth serums, and adrenal amplifiers designed to turn a subject into a berserker. Transformation was excruciating. Trump's body convulsed. Bones strengthened, muscles swelled, his senses sharpened to a razor's edge. In just hours, the 78-year-old former president had the physique of an Olympic athlete combined with the lethal reflexes of a jungle predator. They threw him into the arena. The arena was a vast, domed stadium filled with thousands of screeching aliens of a dozen species. Towering holograms projected Trump's image for all to see. From an arched gate on the opposite side, a massive beast lumbered out. It was a Vornak war brute, a 12-foot-tall reptilian horror with 4 arms and a hide like tank armor. The crowd roared. Trump stood in the center of the sand, wearing only a torn medical gown. He rolled his shoulders and felt the new power humming in his veins. The nanites had done more than just build muscle. They had wired combat knowledge directly into his nervous system, downloaded from 1,000 conquered warriors. He understood how to kill now. The Vornak charged. Its 4 arms swung blades of chitin and bone. Trump sidestepped, moved with a speed that shocked even him, and drove his fist into the creature's knee joint. The crack echoed. The brute stumbled. Trump grabbed one of its own arm blades, ripped it free, and in 3 brutal strokes the monster lay dead at his feet. The stadium fell silent. Then Trump looked up at the alien spectators and shouted, "You think this is tough? I've dealt with the deep state. You are nothing." His words were broadcast across the ship's internal network. In cells throughout the vessel, other abducted beings heard him. Human prisoners, dozens of them, snatched from Earth over the years, began to stir. They heard that voice, that unmistakable bravado, and hope ignited. The Kree'Vak overlords were furious but also terrified. This was not supposed to happen. They sent more beasts, then squads of armed drones. Trump dismantled them all. He improvised weapons from the arena debris, used the environment, and each victory only made him stronger as his body continued to integrate the augmentations. He eventually broke out of the arena complex entirely, fighting through corridors, freeing prisoners as he went. A ragged human resistance formed around him. He gave them simple orders. "We're going to take this ship. We're going to fly it home. And then we're going to make the galaxy great again." What the Kree'Vak did not realize was that their own broadcasting system, designed to transmit their gladiatorial events to client worlds, had been hijacked by the battle. Across the Hegemony's network, billions of alien eyes watched the human leader's rampage, and some of that signal bouncing through subspace relays reached Earth. At first, it was dismissed as a hoax, but when the footage showed Trump, unmistakably Trump, ripping the head off an alien warlord with his bare hands, the world stopped. Every screen on Earth showed the feed. News channels abandoned their anchors. The internet melted. People gathered in Times Square, in living rooms, in bars, watching a real-life Rambo turn an alien mothership into a slaughterhouse. The video showed Trump in a torn, blood-soaked suit jacket he'd scavenged from somewhere, now wielding a stolen plasma rifle in each hand. He stormed the bridge, his face set in a defiant scowl, shouting orders to the freed humans behind him. "You see this?" One pundit gasped on live television. "He's not just surviving, he's winning." The Kree'Vak commander, a high priest of the hegemony, made a desperate last stand on the bridge. He activated the ship's self-destruct, but Trump reached the console first. In a moment of pure Hollywood heroism, he punched the alien leader through a view screen, then personally flew the ship, a vessel the size of a small city, back toward Earth. He announced over the intercom, "We're coming home and we're bringing the biggest military prize in history. This is what real leadership looks like." When the ship appeared in the sky above Washington, D.C., escorted by the entire U.S. Air Force, the nation lost its collective mind. The vessel, now under human control, was a treasure trove of alien technology, and the man who walked down the ramp, muscles rippling, hair somehow still perfect, was the same man who had been abducted. Trump was met by generals, politicians, and a crowd of millions. He gave a short speech. "They thought they could break me. They thought they could break us. But you know what? Nobody's tougher than the American spirit. I went through hell and I'm back to finish the job." The public reaction was seismic. Footage of his arena battles, his jailbreak, and his bridge assault had been seen by virtually every human on the planet. It was the ultimate display of human resilience. Political divisions momentarily evaporated. The man who had already reshaped American politics became a literal living legend. An emergency election was called by a coalition government that had been paralyzed by the crisis. Trump ran again, and the campaign was like nothing in history. His rallies were revivals. His slogan, "I went to space and back to save America." Opponents tried to argue policy. They were drowned out by a populace that had watched him punch an alien god in the face. On Election Day, the turnout was the largest ever recorded. The result was a landslide that made his previous victories look modest. Every demographic shifted. The image of Trump cradling an alien plasma rifle became the most iconic photograph of the century. In his second inaugural address, he stood on the Capitol steps, the alien ship hovering silently in the distance as a monument to human defiance. "They tried to take me. They tried to take our country. But they didn't understand one thing. When you come after America, you face the toughest son of a gun you've ever seen. We are going to take their technology. We're going to build the greatest military the universe has ever seen. And we're going to protect this planet like never before. And let me tell you, the galaxy is going to pay for it." The crowd roared. The world watched. And somewhere in the depths of space, the remnants of the Kree'Vak hegemony sent a warning to all their allies. Avoid the third planet. Its leader is a warrior god. They are not worth the cost. Humanity had entered a new age, and it was all because one man refused to break.